Come closer, my noble squire, and listen well. For the tale I bring today begins with fire and forked fate. 18 years ago, a kingdom burned to ash in a single night. Flames claimed throne and cradle alike. Yet from the heart of ruin, two newborns drew breath. The seers trembled as they spoke the prophecy. One child would rise to rule, bound to the crown forever. The other was marked to destroy it all. One was raised in halls of marble and oath, every step carved toward destiny. The other walked shadowed paths, fed on vengeance, trained to become the end. But what happens when the one meant to rule rejects the throne? When he chooses revenge over rule and walks away from fate itself? The kingdom that once fell now trembles again. Two souls, bound by the same cursed night, stand on opposite edges of prophecy. One clings to what was foretold. The other has already begun to unmake it. Sit closer, my young friend, for the chronicle begins now.
4.
18 years later, within the walls of the Shang kingdom, the ancient past refused to stay buried. To survive the looming threat of the Xia dynasty, King Chang Tang, Zhe's grandfather, resorted to a brutal magic. He utilized the 9 dragon-locking nails, ancient artifacts designed to suppress magical beasts and seal the power of the divine bird. The king believed these nails must be driven deep into the bone to force submission to Xia, for power maintained through sacrifice often demands a price no one wishes to pay. Standing before his grandfather, Zhe listens as the old king speaks of destiny, his voice steady and resolute as carved stone. But the boy's eyes hold only the reflection of a city that burned 18 years ago. He spits the word destiny back at the king, calling it nothing more than a coward's excuse for fearing the Xia kingdom. For what is fear, if not the shadow cast by choices left unmade? Yet the true danger had only just begun. For a man with nothing left to lose will gladly tear out his own heart. Without warning, Zhizi draws his blade and drives it across his own chest. Blood sprays across the cold stone floor as the boy groans in absolute agony. Through the blinding pain, he remembers his father's desperate pleas for reinforcements and his grandfather's deafening silence. The throne that should have protected his family abandoned them instead. Plunging his fingers into his own bleeding flesh, Zhe grips the dark iron of a dragon-locking nail embedded deep within his core. Tears of rage mix with the blood spilling from his lips as he violently rips the restraint from his body. With a breathless scream, he hurls the bloody nail at his grandfather's feet. The old king watches the iron clatter against the stone, feeling the weight of his grandson's agony, yet his face remains an unreadable mask. He coldly states that Yushan had to perish for Shang to survive, insisting that a ruler who tries to save everyone will ultimately save no one. Driven to the edge of madness by this betrayal, Zhizi attempts to tear a second nail from his right side, his eyes flashing with desperate lightning. But the magic is too deep, the pain too absolute, and he collapses into his own blood. None of them realize the monster that was born in that very room. Looking down at the broken boy, the king delivers a chilling ultimatum. If Zhe dares to remove the remaining nails, his grandfather will personally hammer them back into his flesh. With chilling finality, King Chung Tang commands that at the Chen hour, the boy will wear the royal robes and be declared the new king of Shang. But a crown that costs a man his soul is no crown worth wearing. When the dawn of the coronation arrives, the throne room remains empty. A frantic scout reports that GZ has shattered the North City Gate, escaping into the wild to hunt the vengeance his kingdom denied him. The grandfather simply listens, his voice eerily calm, as he orders the borders sealed so the Xia kingdom cannot sense the magic bleeding from the boy. As the rogue prince flees into the howling wind, a towering illusion of his grandfather manifests before him, delivering one final, desperate command. The old king's voice thunders that the crown is carved into his very blood, insisting it is his inescapable destiny to save the people of Shang. But the boy simply stares at the spectral chains binding the massive image and smirks. "Isn't destiny meant to be broken?" he whispers, before shattering the illusion and vanishing into the wild. His desperate sprint halts only when a solitary figure steps onto the path, revealing himself as the northern general of the Shang kingdom. Instead of drawing his blade, the battle-hardened warrior falls to one knee, expressing profound gratitude that the prince still draws breath. He recounts the blood-soaked night 18 years ago, confessing how he survived only by hiding beneath fallen armor while the infant was smuggled away. For in a world governed by slaughter, sometimes survival itself is the only victory left to claim. Suddenly, the thundering hooves of enemy horsemen shatter the quiet reunion, yet the general's hand never wavers toward his sword. Facing the approaching storm, he delivers the fallen consort's final, sacred wish, that her son might live a free and ordinary life. Unaware of the heavy silence his words leave behind, the general draws his weapon and prepares to hold the line, commanding the boy to run. But what happened next would sever the prince's ties to his past forever. Racing through the desolate terrain, the boy finally understands the true weight of his mother's dying prayer. He whispers into the wind, telling his grandfather's ghost to inform his fallen father that he will crush the very concept of destiny beneath his heel. From that exact moment, the heir to the Shang throne ceases to exist. He claims his mother's family name, stepping into the future as Yushen Bupo. Yushen journeys alone into the treacherous expanse of the great wilderness, a forbidden wasteland where wild monsters roam freely beneath his grandfather's ancient seals. He knows that conquering this lethal domain is the only way to truly sever his chains, for true freedom is never given, only taken. But as his boots touch the cursed earth, the ancient azure dragon formation violently awakens. A slumbering guardian opens its eyes, sensing fresh blood within its domain. Navigating the suffocating mist, Yushen stumbles upon an impossible sight. A man, perfectly preserved within a jagged prison of solid ice. At first, he assumes the freezing wasteland is playing tricks on his mind, but stepping closer reveals the faint, rhythmic fog of the stranger's breath. Suddenly, the ground violently fractures as a massive shadow descends from the sky. Yet instead of running to save his own life, Yushen turns back and hauls the frozen stranger onto his shoulders. From the suffocating darkness, a colossal dragon watches with bottomless hunger, recognizing the icebound man as a legendary cure to its 1,000-year-old cold poison. The beast lunges to devour its prize, but Yushen refuses to yield the stranger to the monster's gaping maw. Drawing his shining ice sword, the rogue prince meets the Leviathan in midair, slicing upward in a merciless arc that obliterates one of the beast's massive eyes. Enraged by the blinding agony, the dragon whips its massive tail, sending the boy crashing brutally into the earth. Bleeding and broken, Yushen forces himself to stand, but the battle is suddenly interrupted by an awakening power. The seemingly lifeless man in the ice violently stirs, a radiant mark glowing upon his forehead as his frozen prison shatters into 1,000,000 floating shards. A beautiful blood-red glass flower blooms from the magical debris, transforming the floating ice into a terrifying arsenal of crystalline weapons. The mysterious man falls gracefully from the sky, and Yushen rushes forward to catch him. But instead of offering gratitude, the waking stranger's eyes flash with cold malice as he instantly launches a floating blade directly at his savior. The crystal strikes Yushen with brutal force, knocking the breath from his lungs and sending him sprawling into the dirt. Coughing up blood, the prince curses the ungrateful wretch, just as the heavy blanket of unconsciousness pulls them both into the dark. Yet the true danger had only just begun. Hours later, the unconscious duo is discovered by a scouting party from the nomadic Yo-Chong clan, who find them half buried in the wilderness dust. Their pragmatic leader commands his men to haul the mysterious youths back to the guest rooms of Shuohua City. They are to be held merely as an afterthought, set to be released the moment they awaken. For the clan leader, Yi Zhi has a far more devastating crisis burning in his hands. Jisi tightly grips a ransom note, demanding his presence at the treacherous Yochong Sea, where he must fight a mysterious enemy to save his kidnapped son. Elder Kang curses the absolute audacity of the kidnapper, warning that the falling sands of their mystical clock predict imminent ruin if they do not hurry. Desperate, the leader orders his warriors to strip away their heavy armor and discard all supplies, pushing their wind horses to maximum speed. They must blind leap across the deadly dragon's pit if they hope to rescue the crown prince in time. Meanwhile, back within the stone walls of the clan's guest quarters, Yushen finally groans and opens his heavy eyes. Blinking away the disorientation, he immediately scans the shadowy room and spots his icy attacker resting silently in the corner. As Yushen cautiously steps closer to inspect the man, Jiang Li senses his presence and violently unleashes a jagged shard of ice at his throat. Yushen barely twists away in time to dodge the lethal strike. But a viper does not simply sleep when disturbed. Jiang Li lunges from the shadows of the guest room, violently grappling Yushen and twisting his arm behind his back. The icy prince demands to know why he was dragged into this desolate desert prison. Yushen merely smirks, moving with lightning speed to reverse the hold and pin his attacker against the cold stone wall. He reminds the arrogant prince that without his intervention, he would have rotted in that frozen crater. He spits the words, "ungrateful wretch," like venom. Enraged by the insult, Jiang Li retaliates with a blinding flurry of lethal kicks and calculated strikes. The two princes clash violently until the heavy wooden doors burst open, separating them. Breathless Yocheong soldiers shout that the clan is under siege by desert bandits, ordering the boys to remain safely inside. Ignoring the warning, The boys step out into the howling wind to witness the approaching slaughter. Jiang Li coldly reflects that Yu Shen's clumsy rescue interrupted his cultivation before he could reach the 5th stage. Because of that careless mistake, he mutters, the entire world might soon meet its end. As the enemy horde draws closer, Elder Tang urgently consults the mystical sand clock to predict the shifting battlefield. He warns clan leader Ji Si that they must break the enemy lines immediately or risk being swallowed by churning quicksand. Across the dunes, the bandit leader Wei Hao promises a bloody reward to whoever claims the most heads. The desert marauders charge forward, their battle cries echoing like thunder across the arid wasteland. Calm in the face of death, Jishi commands his warriors to loose the arrow formation. A devastating rain of steel pierces the sky, sending dozens of bandits and their wind horses crashing into the dust. Watching the carnage, Jiang Li casually remarks that exactly 720 bandits still remain. Yu Shen laughs at the impossible claim, boasting that he cannot even see them all through the swirling sand. He boldly declares that he could butcher the entire surviving army himself. His arrogant laughter dies the moment Jesus scans the horizon and loudly confirms the exact number of remaining enemies. Stunned, Yu Shen demands to know how the Icy Prince could possibly count them so quickly. Jiang Li simply replies that he did not count them, he smelled them. Admitting defeat to this terrifying instinct, Yu Shen leaps from the walls and plummets directly into the heart of the battlefield. He strikes the earth with catastrophic force, sending a violent shockwave through the shifting sands. Moving with predatory precision, he dismantles the approaching bandits before their blades can even catch the light. Witnessing this brutal poetry of motion, Jiang Li silently retracts his earlier doubts. An astonished Ji Si asks his men who this absolute demon of a boy could possibly be. Elder Tang whispers that the boy's ferocious fighting style perfectly mirrors that of Ji Si's own son, lost to the sands many years ago. Stirred by the painful ghosts of his past, the clan leader unleashes a devastating wave of primordial fire. The blinding inferno sweeps across the dunes, instantly incinerating the remaining bandit army. Anticipating the blast, Yu Shen vaults high into the suffocating smoke, narrowly avoiding the lethal flames. Jisi's loyal men rush to their leader's side, terrified that this reckless magic has torn open his unhealed wounds. Meanwhile, the smoke slowly clears upon the scorched earth. Yu Shen lands gracefully on his feet, finding himself face to face with the bandit leader, Wei Hao. But this reckless assault is nothing more than a carefully orchestrated shadow play. Wei Hao secretly sends a magical pulse to Jing Xin, the true mastermind lurking in the unseen distance. The bandits' only mission was to distract the fierce clan leader, while Jing Xin infiltrated the sacred bronze chariot at the Youqiong Sea. Oblivious to the deeper plot, Wei Hao charges forward and swings a massive broadsword aimed squarely at Yu Shen's neck. The rogue prince does not even flinch, catching the lethal steel with his bare, dragon-infused claws. With a sickening crunch, he snaps the heavy blade in half as if it were brittle glass. Desperate, the bandit leader attacks again, but Yu Shen casually swats him away and sends the man crashing violently into the dirt. The prince mocks the pathetic effort, coldly advising Wei Hao to prepare his final words. In a blur of motion, Yu Shen lands a merciless combination of strikes, shattering the bandit's teeth and launching his broken body across the dunes. Bleeding into the sand, Wei Hao gasps for air and begs to know the name of the monster who defeated him. Jiang Li watches with intense scrutiny as the boy straightens his posture and speaks into the wind. "Yu Shen Bupo," he declares, his voice ringing with absolute, unshakable certainty. That single name strikes Jise and Jiang Li harder than any physical blow ever could. 18 years ago, the Yushan clan was utterly eradicated in the blood-soaked siege of Kongsang City. Yet here stands a living ghost, casually claiming a legacy that was burned to ash before he was even born. As the Yuqiong warriors erupt into triumphant cheers, Jiang Li's sharp instincts detect a sinister, hidden presence lingering nearby. Alarmed by the revelation of the boy's bloodline, GC orders heavy guards to the Yuqiong well and demands the ghost be brought to him immediately. Deep in the shadows, the true mastermind Jing Xin aborts his infiltration, melting away into the dark. And with that, the rogue prince has officially announced his return to a world that thought him dead. The desert winds carry the echo of a forgotten kingdom, and the true enemy still lurks unseen in the shadows. The board is set, and the pieces have finally begun to move. Tomorrow at midnight, a storm of heavenly fire is destined to fall upon Shouhua City, turning its streets into a slaughterhouse of maddened beasts. Thousands are fated to burn in the impending inferno, and yet, one scholar stands against the ashes, Jiang Li. Deep within the ethereal stillness of the Sea of Mind, Jiang Li sought an audience with an ancient power. The great azure dragon loomed in the shadows, its voice a deep rumble that shook the very foundation of his soul. Jiang Li's cultivation remained fractured, abruptly shattered when Yu Shen pulled him from his deep trance. He knew the deadline was approaching with the setting sun. Midnight would bring absolute annihilation. If they failed, the dragon warned, demonic beasts would lose their minds entirely, tearing through Shouhua City in a frenzy of blood and fire. But even in the face of inevitable destruction, a sliver of hope remained. The dragon spoke of a relic hidden within the ancient well of the Yuqiong clan. These were the proud descendants of the legendary Ho Yi, guardians of a mystical box capable of hiding demons from the thunder tribulation itself. If harnessed correctly, this same artifact could cast an impenetrable shield over the doomed city. The margin for victory was impossibly narrow, almost non-existent to the naked eye. But for a desperate man, even a whisper of a chance is enough to spark a rebellion against fate. In the waking world, the winds of destiny were already shifting. Yu Shen stood alongside Jise, the hardened leader of the Youqiong caravan, exchanging quiet words of gratitude for surviving the wilderness. Yet beneath their pleasantries laid a profound sorrow, a wound that time refused to heal. Jise's son, Ling Fu, a brilliant prodigy who mastered the 5th level of cultivation at a mere 15 years old, was held captive. The cruel king of Shouhua City, Ge Tian, demanded the legendary You Qiongxi as his ransom, refusing to release the boy until the artifact was surrendered. But tragedy rarely waits for permission to strike. A sudden, chilling presence swept through the camp, drawing both men toward the ancestral well. There, kneeling in the dim light beside the empty pedestal, was Jiang Li. Jise's eyes flared with immediate rage, his blades drawn as he branded the scholar a traitor and ordered his men to strike. Yu Shen stepped between them, the tension thick enough to suffocate, insisting there had been a grave misunderstanding. With a calm movement, Jiang Li channeled the mystic arts of the Tai Yi sect, weaving the lingering qi into a vision of the past. 15 minutes prior, the shadows themselves had come alive, silently slitting the throats of the guards one by one. From the darkness, a thief named Jing Xin had emerged, claiming the artifact before vanishing back into the night. Recognizing the pure aura of the Tai Yi sect, Jisa hesitated, realizing the young scholar spoke the truth. A dangerous pact was struck in the blood-stained dirt of the camp. Jiang Li swore to retrieve the stolen Si before the midnight toll. But trust is a rare coin in a dying world, and Ji Shi demanded collateral. Yu Shen would remain behind in chains, trapped as a hostage against the turning clock. If the scholar failed to return with the relic, his new companion would pay with his life. None of them realized the monster they were hunting was already waiting in the City of Sins. The air in Shouhua City was thick with the scent of cheap perfume and impending doom. Down the bustling alleys of Flower Street, the top courtesan, Yin Huan, danced under the glow of crimson lanterns, her performance mesmerizing the oblivious crowd. Yet Jiang Li had no eyes for the spectacle, his senses dialed into the faint, metallic scent of fresh blood. He tracked the lingering malice to the 4th Street, his footsteps silent against the damp cobblestones. There, concealed within the urban labyrinth, stood Jing Xin. Jiang Li offered a final, quiet ultimatum, demanding the return of the Si. The thief merely smirked, mocking the famed senses of the Chong clan, before the shadows exploded into violence. Steel met steel in a blinding flash, forcing Jing Xin backward as Jiang Li pressed the assault. The scholar warned he would take the relic by force, his voice cold as the grave. Jing Xin simply laughed and dared him to try. Their battle spilled across the curved rooftops, a deadly dance beneath the moonlight. As tiles shattered under their weight, the somber voice of an old scholar echoed from a courtyard below, telling a tragic tale to his young students. He spoke of Jisi's fallen son, a handsome boy who loved a 1,000-year-old demon so deeply he unleashed the Si to save her. In the chaos of that forbidden love, his mother was slaughtered in the crossfire, and the boy's cultivation withered to nothing. While the tragic history of the Chong clan drifted through the night air, Yu Shen sat perched on a distant roof, unbothered by his hostage status. He took a slow sip from a clay jug, his eyes tracking the distant flashes of qi. With detached amusement, he whispered that the wine was the only redeeming quality of this cursed city. High above, Jiang Li unleashed a blinding celestial technique, closing the gap in a heartbeat. But Jing Xin was no common thug. He shattered the spell with a brutal counterstrike, demanding to know why a Tai Yi scholar was acting as a dog for the Chong clan. Yet the true danger was not the enemy before him. It was the rot within. Jiang Li drove the assassin backward, sending Jing Xin crashing through a wooden pavilion and scattering the terrified students below. He landed lightly on the roof's edge, eyes scanning the debris. But suddenly, his breath caught. The intricate dragon tattoo across his skin pulsed with agonizing heat, a stark reminder of his fractured core. Within his mind, the azure dragon roared a desperate warning, commanding him to halt. The interrupted cultivation was tearing his internal meridians apart with every strike he delivered. But the cries of a burning city echoed in his mind, and Jiang Li refused to yield. Jing Xin emerged from the rubble, finally realizing the terrifying strength of the Tai scholar. Fearing the wrath of his dark master if he lost the relic, the thief resorted to cowardice, hurling an innocent bystander directly at Jiang Li's blade. The scholar was forced to break his stance, dodging desperately to save the stranger's life. Any illusion of a noble duel evaporated in the cold wind. They clashed head-on, their auras colliding with such ferocity that the ambient moisture erupted into surging geysers of water. But willpower alone cannot mend a broken vessel. In the heart of the clash, the dragon tattoo faded into dull ink, Jiang Li's chi suddenly sputtering like a dying candle. Jing Xin's eyes widened with predatory glee. With a devastating strike, he shattered the scholar's guard, sending Jiang Li crashing violently across the fractured tiles. Ash and dust clouded the air as the assassin closed in, his shadow looming over the fallen hero. He looked down at the bleeding scholar, a cruel smile twisting his lips. He mocked the proud Tai sect, laughing that their finest student was nothing more than a fragile, broken boy. Jingxin raised his hand, fully prepared to extinguish the life of the Tai sect's finest student. But destiny is a strange and fickle master, and it rarely permits a story to end so simply. Before the fatal strike could fall, a clay jug whistled through the night air, shattering the deadly silence. Yu Shen stepped from the shadows of the rooftop, his demeanor as casual as a man arriving late to a feast. He looked down at the bleeding scholar and demanded that Jiang Li beg for his salvation. Pride, however, is a difficult armor to shed, and the young scholar simply turned his face away. Enraged by the interruption, the assassin demanded to know the identity of this arrogant newcomer. Yu Shen merely smiled, his voice dripping with ancient condescension, replying that the thief was simply not worthy to know. The insult was the spark that ignited the powder keg. Jingxin lunged with murderous intent, but his fury was utterly misplaced. Yu Shen did not even draw a weapon. He merely shifted his stance and delivered a devastating blow that sent the assassin hurtling through the air like a broken doll. Landing gracefully beside Jiang Li, Yu Shen casually asked the wounded scholar to hold his wine jug. He noted, with a terrifying calm, that he had not yet finished drinking. Yet the true battle for the relic was only just beginning. Jiang Li pushed through the agony of his torn meridians, entering the fray once more. He flicked the heavy jug onto a nearby table, dodging a desperate strike from the assassin and retaliating with a force that sent Jing Xin skyward. Yu Shen watched the dance of blades, loudly questioning if the decadent King Ge Tian had sent this pathetic thief to steal the Youqiong Sea. The assassin offered only silence and steel in return. Sighing deeply, Yu Shen concluded that the king was not to blame, but he no longer cared about the politics of the city. He was simply annoyed that someone had dared to spill Jiang Li's blood. With a blur of motion, Yu Shen intercepted the attack, flipping the assassin over and sending him crashing into the ceramic tiles. The impact jolted the legendary Youqiong Sea loose, sending the ancient relic tumbling across the slanted roof. Desperation fueled Jing Xin, and he scrambled across the debris, his fingertips grazing the salvation of his dark master. But Yu Shen was faster. With a casual flick of his wrist, he channeled his cultivation into a single pebble, striking the thief down and claiming the relic for himself. Breathing heavily, Jiang Li stared at his savior, asking how a hostage had so easily escaped the heavily guarded ancestral well. Yu Shen's answer was chilling in its simplicity. He could leave whenever he wished. He had merely chosen to stay. But what happened next would change the course of their lives forever. A suffocating pressure suddenly descended upon the night, thick and heavy as a burial shroud. Jiang Li's instincts screamed in warning, just as the fabric of reality tore open. From the swirling portal stepped a man, cloaked in absolute darkness, his aura radiating a terrifying, ancient power. Jing Xin scrambled to his knees, weeping and begging for forgiveness from the master who had finally come to collect. The dark figure smiled, a gentle expression that promised absolute ruin, and whispered words of pardon. In the next heartbeat, he slaughtered Jing Xin without a flicker of hesitation. Before either warrior could react, the Dark Master vanished. He reappeared directly before Yushen, utilizing high-level teleportation to rip the Youqiong Sea from his grasp. And just as quickly as the nightmare had arrived, it faded back into the void, leaving nothing but a corpse and the bitter taste of defeat. Meanwhile, in the heart of Shouhua City, a different kind of war was being waged in silence. King Ge lounged upon his velvet throne, a picture of grotesque indulgence, surrounded by the finest wine and courtesans the doomed city could offer. Standing before this display of rotting royalty was Ji Se. The hardened leader of the Youqiong caravan kept his expression perfectly blank, though a vow of bloody vengeance burned fiercely within his chest. If a single hair on his captive son's head was harmed, the king would not live to see the dawn. When Ge lazily demanded the legendary artifact, Ji Se did not hesitate. He reached into his robes and presented the king with the Youqiong Sea, a flawless, meticulously crafted fake. Far from the glittering palace, reality was setting in for the two warriors in the slums. Jiang Li limped away from the battlefield, the weight of his failure pressing down upon his fractured core. Yu Shen walked quietly beside him, his sharp eyes finally recognizing the chaotic flow of qi within the scholar's body. Guilt flickered in the wanderer's heart. He realized that Jiang Li's catastrophic internal injuries were caused by his own reckless interruption in the wilderness. Seeking to balance the scales, Yu Shen offered his strength to hunt down the Dark Master and reclaim the sea. But Jiang Li shook his head, his voice hollow as he revealed the grim truth. The man from the portal had reached the terrifying 5th stage of cultivation. Even fighting side by side, their chances of survival were barely 30%. Sensing the creeping shadow of despair, Yu Shen extended his clay jug to the wounded scholar. He urged Jiang Li not to let the burden crush him, speaking a truth that felt as ancient as the wind. Jiang Li, he confessed, was the very first friend he had made since walking out of the endless desert. The scholar paused, genuinely bewildered by the sentiment, and asked what the word friend truly meant to a man with no past. Yu Shen looked up at the fractured moon, his voice softening. A friend, he explained, is someone who walks beside you when the path ahead leads straight into hell, and still chooses not to turn back. Moved by the weight of those words, Jiang Li finally took the jug and let the bitter wine burn down his throat. With clarity restored, the scholar proposed a desperate strategy. They must divide and conquer. He would track the monstrous 5th stage master, while Yu Shen returned to the caravan to recruit Zhe Shi and his legendary sunset bow technique. It was a brilliant tactical plan, But Yushin shattered the illusion with a single, knowing sigh. Jishi was already gone, having walked straight into the dragon's den to hand a counterfeit treasure to a mad king. And with that, the final safety net is cut away, leaving two wounded warriors standing alone against the dark. The heavenly fire draws near. The true Yo Chongxi is in the hands of a monster, and the king of Shouhua City holds a fake relic that will soon ignite his wrath. And so, my loyal squire, today's chronicle comes to a precarious end. But tell me, when the odds of survival fall to almost nothing and destiny demands a sacrifice, will the bonds of a newly forged friendship be enough to defy the heavens? If you wish to witness what becomes of the scholar and the wanderer, speak it below, and perhaps the next chronicle shall be revealed.